welcome to episode 5. Can't believe it. This is episode 5. My name is kbridgeo. This is the Not Your Average Knits podcast. I want to thank everyone who has watched before and is returning for yet another episode, and also thank everyone who is new. We had a lot of subscribers join from the Yarn Hoarder podcast. Amber mentioned me, which was super sweet. So a lot of you kind of found your way here from there. And anyone else that's new that just kind of happened to find me. So I'm excited to say that we have almost 150 subscribers on YouTube, and I've gained a lot more followers on Instagram as well. So I'm just really excited that you guys are enjoying this and coming back for more. My Ravelry name is kbridgeo. My Instagram is Not Your Average Knits. And I also have a Ravelry group, which is called Not Your Average Knits. So you definitely want to head over there and join. That is where I put all of the show notes and give everyone a chance to sort of introduce themselves, ask me questions, things like that. But another reason to join, so I'm going to do my first little mini giveaway. So I'm going to put a thread over in the Ravelry group. And pretty much I just, want to kind of know why you knit or why you crochet or sort of what you love about this craft, what it means to you, why it's sort of a part of your life and is something that you're interested in. I would imagine that if anyone's sitting through these podcasts, it must be something that you're definitely passionate about. Again, whether it's knitting or crocheting or weaving or spinning or dyeing or whatever it is that you do sort of in the fiber industry. I just want to kind of know why and know what it means to you. I think for me, it's definitely something that just allows me to sort of show that creative side. It's exciting to kind of work on something and just sort of from start to finish and see it develop. And also too, I think I talked last episode about issues I have with anxiety, and I think that there's a lot of stuff in the media about how much it helps, and it definitely does for me. I mean, it's something that just kind of centers me and keeps me calm and focused. Granted, it's not magic. I still have issues that I deal with, but it's something that I think has just helped keep me a lot more sort of even-keeled throughout my life. So that's had a big impact on me. And granted, if I'm sitting here doing a podcast talking to hundreds of people, many of whom are strangers, it's definitely helped me to come out of my shell and be able to share with all of you. Okay, so what I'm going to be giving away, so a while back I had purchased a mini kit from Ethereal Fibers. Hadn't used the minis yet, and so I want to share some of them with all of you. I know everyone's sort of loving minis right now, whether it's for cuffs, heels, and toes for socks, whether it's for the crochet scrappy blankets or the mitered square memory blankets like I'm making, or just to sort of throw in a little bit of color in whatever that they are making. So I did want to share some minis with you. So these are the minis that I will be giving away. So it is 5 larger minis, and then this fun little smaller, and this one actually has some sparkle in it, but really fun kind of fall colors. There's a yellow, an orange, and a brown, and a striped variegated color here as well. So anyway, so these will be going off to the winner. I will just sort of pick a random number out of the thread and then announce it on my next podcast. So really excited to share these with you. Obviously I'm still super new in the podcast world, and it's not like I'm, getting all of these things from other people to give away. So I just wanted to take a chance anyway and do a giveaway and share something that's already in my stash to be able to share with you as well. So hope that you will enjoy that. And again, this is all just sort of a thank you for me for sticking with me and watching all of these episodes, and all of the feedback that has been so great. Everyone's so sweet and saying that they're enjoying this and can relate to this, and that I'm just sort of helping to spread the love. So really, again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, so I guess 2 weeks ago, I mentioned the release of my Time's a Thief pattern, and I couldn't fully tell you sort of what it was a part of because we were in a spoiler period, but spoiler period is over. So my Time's a Thief pattern was featured in Yarnbox Classic for April. which I was super excited about. So I've mentioned Yarnbox before. They're an awesome yarn subscription company. I've been a member for about 2 years for their Yarnbox Classic, which is monthly, and that's the one I've been a member of for 2 years. But I've also done a little bit. They do a Yarnbox Socks and a Yarnbox Luxe, and so I've participated in some of those some months as well. You can sort of pause your subscription and start it back up again. So it's sort of nice to be able to, depending upon how much money you have, and just sort of decide when you want to join or not. So this is Yarnbox. So I just wanted to kind of show you. So the yarn this month is Sugar Bush Bliss. So this is sport weight, 70% extra fine superwash merino, 20% mulberry silk, and 10% cashmere. Each ball is 105 yards. We did get 5 balls like this in our box, which was awesome. So the scarf that you saw at Times a Thief was made with all 5 balls, so it ended up being really, really large. And other people too could, choose to make it shorter or turn it into a cowl and then have some extra balls to make a hat or gloves or something like that. So what's cool with Yarnbox too is that you also set your color preferences. Still a surprise. There's a lot of colors this month too. I think there was 8 possible colors that you could get. So obviously you're never going to get like the perfect color. This one I really like a lot. It's a really pretty silver gray color. One of my friends in the knitting group that I have every week, she got a blue, and I think she was sort of debating between the blue and the gray, so we might swap. But anyway, so I haven't started knitting anything with this yet. But what's really cool, so in the box, you always get a card that kind of describes the yarn. And as you can see here, whoop, there's my name. So that's pretty cool. And they include photos of the patterns. So just, having been a member of this and it really being the company that got me started in real quality yarn, and by me getting real quality yarn actually started that sort of designer bug with me, I guess. To be included in one of their boxes was awesome and was such an exciting experience. So anyway, really excited to share that with all of you, and to actually see. So some of the members are already making the scarf and seem to be liking it so far and having no problems with the pattern. So that's fun. It's neat to kind of go on Instagram and search the Yarnbox hashtag and kind of see what people are doing. A lot of times, you'll actually see when I talk about one of the things I'm doing, you get a knit pattern, a crochet pattern every month with the yarn, but you don't always make what comes with it. Some people will sort of do a knit along and help each other out as they're doing the pattern. But not everyone always likes the pattern that comes with it, or they have something else in mind, or they would try to get more yardage to make a larger garment or make something smaller with it. So I don't expect everyone that received the box this month to make the scarf that I made. But so it is kind of fun when people do, and it's been pretty popular. Even people who aren't members of Yarnbox have purchased it as well. So I don't know. So it's fun. So it'll be exciting to kind of see how popular it gets and what people think about it. So anyway, excited to officially, unspoiler period, share with you what I've been working on pretty much for the last, 6 to 8 months, I guess. Okay, so what have I done since last time? So last time I had one of my space socks completed, and now I have 2. So these are knit with Sweet Georgia Tough Love sock in the Intergalactic colorway, which is an exclusive colorway for Eat Sleep Knit from last year's space-themed Yarnathon. So if you remember, so I'm not a seasoned sock knitter, to say the least. I'm very much a beginner. So I'm trying to kind of figure out which needle size works best, what number of stitches I want to use, what kinds of cuffs and heels and toes I want to use, just to kind of figure out what sort of, in terms of a basic stockinette stitch pattern, what works for me, what I like, and I want to make socks that I'll actually wear. I've also bought some patterns, some actual stock some actual sock patterns that aren't just plain stockinette. So I mean, I'm sure sort of my gauge and needle size that I use might change when I actually do a pattern sock. Anyway, but so I've been kind of playing around. So for this one, I did a twisted 1x1 rib for only like a 1/2 inch. And I used 1.5 needles, where the socks that I did last time in the Felici were based on 1s, and did the regular fish lips kiss heel again. I do like these. They are a little bit baggy, or at least looser than I would like. And I think part of that is that I just did a very, very small cuff. So I think I said last week I'm really going to move toward doing a bigger, probably regular 2x2 cuff. And just the fabric, I think that the 1.5s gave is just a little bit looser. I like my socks to fit really tight. So I think I'm going to go back to the 1s. I do like the height of these though. I don't like my socks to be too tall. Though again, it's spring, so I'm kind of feeling that way now. In the winter, I may want to make some really, really high knee socks. The heel I'm getting used to. I definitely like the Fish Lips Kiss heel. I did get a tiny bit of a hole in one of them, so I think I just need better practice at closing that gap a little bit more. Now what's interesting about the toe, so the typical toe I used, I think, just came from the Vanilla Latte sock pattern, which is a free pattern. And it's just a regular rounded toe where you do a knit stitch and then a slip knit on one half of the foot, and then a knit two together and a knit stitch on the other half, and then on the other side of the foot you do the same thing. So it essentially creates, let's see if you can see. So it kind of creates this just kind of like line. So it's sort of a sturdy line. You can see it on both sides. This line right here. And which is great, and it sits right on your toe line. So anyway, so when I was making the second sock, again, I'm not fully practiced with socks. I need to still look at directions and kind of remember how to do things. And when it came time to do the toe, I was like, oh, I think I kind of remember it. You know, you just split I knit in the round on 9-inch circular. So I'm like, you just, you know, split the stitches in half, and you do a decrease on each side of the two halves. But when I did it, I didn't do a knit stitch on the two ends, and I flipped the way in which I did a knit two together and a slip knit instead of a slip knit and knit two together. So it came out different, and I realized it as I was going through and looked at the directions, and I'm like, whatever, this is still kind of practice for me to try some things, so I don't really care. But if you see on this toe, right here, it just makes like a tiny, tiny seam, and that's where the slip knit and the knit two together join together. Let's see if you can see it on this side too. So you can barely see, and it's kind of seamless. And what's interesting, so let me show you kind of what it looks like off the... So you can see it just makes a rounded toe, and you can kind of barely see where the decreases are. Where this one, I don't know, it just looks a little more pronounced. Where this is the funky decrease that I did, and then this is the other one, where it's just a little thicker and like straighter on this side. I don't know. I don't think that I made up this decrease. I'm sure it's probably been done in some socks. I'm wondering if maybe it's not as sturdy because there's no knit stitch kind of in between those two decreases like on the other sock. So there may be a reason that people don't decrease this way. I don't know. If you're a sock knitter and you've ever just done a slip knit and a knit two together side by side on each of the ends, let me know. But I don't know. I kind of like it. It just makes it a lot more rounded, and you can't feel it as much. Like my toes can kind of feel the other one. So I don't know. It was an accident, maybe a happy accident. Maybe I'll wear it and my toes will poke right through, and then I'll realize why it was an accident. But anyway, those are my socks, so I'm super excited. So, and then, as I mentioned, Eat Sleep Knit does a yarnathon, and if you, one of the badges you can get is to complete an adult-sized pair of socks in the yarn that you bought from them. So I get to get some points for this for my very first pair of socks with Eat Sleep Knit yarn. So that's it. I'm excited about that. Sorry. Okay, so as you can see behind me, my other finished object, and there was not nearly enough light to show you how pretty this is the, so this is the Softly Spoken shawl by Woolenberry, Janina Callio, and this is knit in Little Bean Love's yarn in her yak base. This was a rainbow grainbow set that I bought from her a long time ago that she doesn't normally carry in her shop. But again, if you've been watching every episode, I think I've talked about it every episode, had the yarn for a while, and when this pattern came out, I just knew that it would be the perfect marriage of yarn and pattern, and it was, absolutely was. So the main base is a gray, and then you see the red and yellow and green and blue and purple, and then another gray. And then you can see the edges have like a picot edge. And when you do the picot, it's even across, but when I blocked it, I kind of pulled out some of the picots to be a little bit longer than the others, just to add a little bit of kind of visual interest to it. But I mean, it's huge. It blocked really, really big. Let's see. See how big it is. So awesome. And I mean, the lace, is very delicate. And then the yarn too, it having just sort of that little bit of yak in it makes it so soft, and really adds like a nice drape to it. So yeah, so that's it. So I'm so excited. So thank you both to Janina for making a wonderful pattern, and Kayleen for the absolute perfect yarn for this. So exciting. So that's what I've done. This was my big project that I've been working on for a while. So super excited about that one. The one other random thing that I've done, so that I did kind of squeeze this in with the other projects I was working on. So my husband is an avid golfer. He's competed in a lot of amateur events, both kind of locally and nationally. Doesn't compete in as many events now, mostly just golfs for fun. But so last year, I think sometime, he was looking and asked if I could make him some club head covers. They're super expensive to buy, and sometimes they don't always necessarily fit on the club that you get. So I found kind of a basic pattern and then just modified it and made it my own. So last year I made him these two. One's plain black, and then one is orange and black, which is his the high school he teaches at. That's their school colors. And I think his bag is also orange and black, and you have to match the golf bag. So this year he wanted me to make one more. So I made this last week. I mean, it took me a couple hours, just with orange and gray. So this yarn is Red Heart with wool. So when I worked at Michael's, when I taught knitting there, they came out with this yarn, and it was in just sort of like a separate display. They came out with it, and then it literally went on clearance like a few weeks later. Like, it didn't stay for very long, which is kind of crazy because it's an interesting yarn. I mean, it's mostly acrylic. I don't have the content now. Mostly acrylic, and then has some wool in it, and it's not really scratchy wool. I mean, the acrylic definitely softens it. And it's worsted weight, I don't know, for sort of an in-between wanting something that's acrylic and less expensive but yet still has the warmth of wool. This was definitely a great option, and so I was super sad that they put it out on clearance. So I did kind of buy as much as I possibly could before it went away in the store that I worked at. So I do still have a pretty decent stash of it. Some people have inquired about it, and I've sold it to some people. I also have used it. So there was a stretch where some of my friends were asking for, so we are big New England Patriots fans in this area. So a friend had asked me to make a New England Patriots scarf for him. I'll put some pictures over here. So the first one I had made, I used Red Heart Soft. And then one of my other friends asked me to make a Kansas City Chief colored ones for his girlfriend. And as many of you might know, like yellow is a really, really tough color to find. But this Red Heart with wool carried this yellow color. So to make like a bright red, white, and yellow scarf, I was able to do it with this Red Heart with wool. And then after that, I made a few more of these because it's a really, it knits up really quick. And these scarves, I have the pattern in my listing of patterns. It's free. I don't have anything written up. I just have notes. So if you go to my Ravelry page, but mostly I just knit in the round, however many stitches on whatever size needles you want, just knit in the round, change colors to do stripes, knit all the way, and then seam the top and seam the bottom. And it makes this really awesome double-sided stockinette, really super thick scarf. And it goes pretty quick with the Red Heart with wool because of the texture of the yarn. Anyway, so I had some left over. He wanted orange and gray. I happen to already have orange and gray. So now his clubs are comfortably soft. And, hopefully he thinks of me when he's golfing and I'm home knitting. So that was something else that I've done. Okay, so what I'm doing, so if you remember last week, again, speaking of my husband, he inquired about me knitting some socks for him when he saw how cool my first pair of socks were. So I had found Knit Picks Stroll Tonal in Raven, and I think I showed this last time. So I started knitting it. I had like this much done last week. Still haven't done a lot of this. This has mostly just been my commuting project, and I was finishing up that other sock first. And now that it's going to be summer anyway, I don't know how much he'll wear these kind of socks, but I'm loving the way it's knitting up. Yeah, that looks pretty good right there. So, it's black and purple and like a plum color, and then every now and then it's just this sort of lighter shade of bluish gray that kind of pops up. Really, really pretty. And you wouldn't think it from the way the skein looked and the way, well, I guess in the cake a little bit you can see how tonal it is, but as soon as you start using it in stockinette, you can really see the difference in colors. So I went back to size 1s for this, did a 2x2 rib, and I did 64 stitches for him. I'm just kind of using some of his other socks as a guide for how long to make the leg and where to put the heel in. So we'll see how it goes. So this will just, I'm just kind of work on this here and there when I have time. Or again, like I said, on the train, it's an easy project to just kind of pull out on the train. So that's something I'm doing. Then I don't have my brioche shawl to show you. I haven't made any progress on it from last time. But I think I might frog it and go down a needle size. I haven't decided yet. I just feel like it's a little bit too loose, and maybe it's just because my tension with brioche isn't that good, because I'm still kind of learning the stitches and sort of knitting really slow. And it's just supposed to have a really kind of stretchy texture, and I just feel like it's too loose already and doesn't really have that kind of stretch. So that's what I think. So I've been kind of not touching it this week just because I've been debating. So now I'm officially saying right now, yes, I'm going to frog it and go down a needle size. And I'll probably work on it a little bit this weekend, so I'll show you next week. But anyway, that's the status on that one, if anyone was wondering what happened to that. Now, this next thing that I'm doing, you haven't even heard about yet, and you'll be shocked at how big it already is for the fact that you didn't even hear about it. So there is a designer. Her name is Gabrielle Vizina. I'll put all of her info here below. She actually was the designer for a Yarn Box April Classic box last year. And the shawl that she designed for the box that we got, which was Collage, was the name of the yarn, was gorgeous. And like I said, I don't typically even knit the patterns that come in every month's box. I'll use the yarn for something else or sort of hoard it until I find a different pattern for it. But that month when that pattern came out, I loved it, and I immediately cast on and did that shawl. I'll put a picture up here. And then after that, I think I had joined her group. She has a group also on Ravelry, and she was doing a call for test knitters. And so I test knit one of her patterns, Rainy Day shawl. I don't know. I'll put all the info below. So it was awesome just to kind of test knit something for her and sort of learn a little bit about her process and the way she designs patterns. Anyway, so I've been a member of her group since. She took a little bit of time off. She had a baby, and now she's sort of back and designing again. And so she just put out another call for test knitters for her shawl called the Foxtails shawl. She did her sample in Malabrigo Arroyo, but said it could kind of be done in any weight. So I wanted to do a shawl that was a little bit thicker. I haven't really used a heavier weight yarn in a project in a while. So I'm doing mine in DK. So I went stash diving and found some yarn. And I just need to just say, too, about the stash diving thing. So for the longest time, and I think like I've said, when I buy yarn, I just buy yarn with no project in mind. You know, and then you get a little frustrated by that because then you see all this yarn and you're wondering if you're eventually going to use it. And it's been awesome for me that the softly spoken shawl, I was able to use Kayleen's rainbow yarn that I'd had for a long time. And it was just awesome that just fit. For the Hohi Mystery Knit Along, which is coming up, which I'll talk about later. Again, went stash diving for that and found some yarn for that. And then for this, I knew I wanted to use DK and probably had some of that in my stash and was able to find yarn for that. So it gives me hope, I guess, that the sort of crazy yarn buying here and there doesn't mean that just because you don't have a project in mind at the time that, you know, something isn't going to click eventually and you'll realize that it was the perfect yarn for that project. So hopefully you're all with me with that, you know, and don't feel guilty for adding to your stash because eventually the sort of right pattern or project will come along. So the yarn I'm using, so I have 2 skeins of Madeline Tosh DK. The brown color is actually a one-of-a-kind colorway. So I think I'd mentioned before I had bought a bunch of yarn from the website Little Knits, and they were just selling kind of grab bags of Madeline Tosh yarn, 3 skeins to a bag, 4 skeins to a bag, and all different bases. And they all came just marked as one-of-a-kind colorways. So whether they just didn't dye right or maybe the weights were different, I have no idea what made them sort of one-of-a-kind, but they were offered at a discount. So this came from that. So I don't know what color it is, but it's kind of a normal chocolatey brown. Then the other Tosh color is one that I had bought from Eat Sleep Knit, and the colorway is Dr. Zhivago's Sky. That's a pretty good capture of it. Blue is so hard to capture on camera. I have to say, working with this, I love this color. Absolutely love this color. And I had randomly bought 2 skeins of it from Eat Sleep Knit just to buy it because I must have liked the way the color looked online, or maybe I saw it in someone else's project and wanted to try it. It's gorgeous. I want to buy, I don't know, a sweater's quantity maybe in this, or just make a shawl in just this color. I don't know. I'm in love. It's so tonal, and the way it knits up is so pretty. It's just such a pretty blue. And I'm kind of a sucker for blues and purples, as you'll see later on in the What I've Got segment. Okay, so then also for the shawls, she recommended kind of 2, well, I guess based on her sample, I decided to use 2 solid colors and then the sort of contrasting color, more of a variegated color. So I went stash diving, and actually I think I found this one first and then found 2 solids to go with it. But so this is Ancient Arts. This is their DK weight yarn, 70% superwash merino, 20% bamboo, 10% nylon, and it's the Inuit Art colorway. So this actually came from a yarn box a while ago. I think I got a more solid color and sold it to someone else that wanted that color. And then eventually I either bought a couple off of DStash from others, or maybe from their website. I don't remember how I officially got this. But this colorway is so pretty. I don't even know if the camera will really show how pretty it is. So it's like a silvery gray base, but then has blues and browns and yellowish greens and brownish oranges, a little bit of purple. It just has a lot of different dimension of color. So I think I had grabbed this first and then noticed that there was blue and brown and then found the blue and brown, and it, again, a match meant to be for the shawl. Okay, so let's show you the shawl. So this is it so far. So the base part is mostly garter stitch, and it's sort of alternating stripes of that main ancient arts color with the blue, and then some stripes with the brown. And then there's this lace section, which is in that Dr. Zhivago sky color. And it's so pretty. I mean, obviously it'll show a lot more when it's off the needles. And am I showing you the wrong? I have always show you the wrong side. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So now you can see it a lot better. So you can see the garter, you can see the lace, and the way the colors kind of play together. So I'm actually on another section of the blue lace that I just started. She also does both charted and written directions, which is nice. I like charts, but sometimes do like to just review the written to make sure that I understand the charts correctly. This is going to be huge. So she did it in, like I said, Malabrigo Arroyo, which is more of a sport weight. I'm just doing the pattern as written, using size 7 needles. I have another skein of this and another skein of the blue. The brown is a little bit more of an accent color and isn't used as much, so I think I'll have enough with just one skein of this. If not, I'll make it work and just kind of use the other two colors. But eventually then there's going to be after this lace section, there's going to be another big garter stripe section, and then a really big lace section in this blue. So it's going to be huge, and I can't wait. So to again talk about DK, like I've said before that I think my favorite weight is DK, and I haven't used it in a long time. I don't know what the last DK project I made was, and making this is reminding me why I love it so much. You know, it's still kind of lightweight enough that you don't feel like it's super heavy like a worsted or a bulky, and then it knits up so fast. I mean, granted, now that I have like 130 stitches on the needle or something, I'm not moving as quickly through this as I was in the beginning, but still, size 7 needles and DK weight yarn, you can just fly through a project. So it's reminding me why I like DK so much. So anyway, so this is the Foxtails shawl. It's currently in test knit. Not exactly sure when she wants to release it, but I think fairly soon, probably the end of May. I will mention it on an episode when she does release it. But definitely go follow her, join her group. She's a great designer, super responsive and helpful, and the people in her group are awesome as well. And now that she has a little baby girl, she's making a lot of patterns that are baby patterns too. So this is one of the other kind of main things that I've been doing. I think that's it for what I'm working on. Now I want to show you what I've got. The first thing, I think I talked about this last time but didn't have it with me to show, is the yarn that I got when I went to the Another Yarn local yarn shop when I went to sign up for the Rhinebeck bus trip. So this is Zen Yarn Garden in their superfine fingering. This colorway is called Study of Olive Trees. It's so pretty. Again, this starts the shades of purple section. So it's just really nice. I mean, it has these deep reds and blues and purples. There's a little bit of turquoise in there. Really pretty color. I don't know what I'll make with it, but you can't go into a yarn store and not buy something. And I do try to buy, especially in stores, try to buy yarn that I can't normally get online. So, websyarn.com sells certain brands of yarn. I also shop at Eat Sleep Knit, and they sell certain brands of yarn, and then indie dyers that I'll buy directly from. So I try to, when I'm in a store, buy something that I wouldn't normally find somewhere else. And Zen Yarn Garden is one. So I don't know. Might be socks. Might be a shawl. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway. So I got that. So the next yarn that I'm going to show you. So this is Leading Men Fiber Arts. This is their Showstopper base, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And this is a mini set that they had. 460 yards total, 92 yards of each of those 5 colors that you see. So I'd first heard about Leading Men Fiber Arts from Amber at the Yarn Hoarder. I think she lives near them, and she gets a lot of their yarn and has met them before and works with them on various things. So I started following them on Instagram, and they post lots of yarn that they just kind of randomly put up in their shop. And I do love that kind of all of their stuff is very sort of theater, TV, musical inspired. So anyway, I'd always wanted to kind of try their yarn, and they showed this mini set on Instagram, and it is absolutely my color scheme. And so I figured might as well buy a set and try out their yarn. So let's see if I can show all of these. So they're so pretty. This blue, so Amber, it's not perfectly showing, but Amber always uses this so she is a Chicago Bears fan in her family, and this is like the perfect navy blue. And she's right, like seeing it in person, it is the perfect navy blue. And then this one's just more of a sky blue color. This one's a good maroon, which too, you don't always see a really good maroon. The school colors that my nieces go to are maroon and gold, and those are 2 really hard colors to duplicate. This one's kind of like a mauve color, and then this one's sort of black raspberry-ish. So I don't know what they'll be, whether I'll make a shawl, whether I'll use them for socks. I don't know. I just wanted to try them, and I thought they were super pretty and pretty much define the colors that I'm drawn to. So this is not out of my comfort zone. This is directly in my comfort zone of color. Then the other bit of yarn that I got, so pardon me while I pick them up. So last time I talked about wanting to make a sweater and decided on the worsted boxy by Joji Locatelli, bought Malabrigo Rios from Eat Sleep Knit, and I think it came in right after I recorded last week. So this is it. I don't know how well the color will show, but this is, like I said, Malabrigo Rios, but this is the Tranquilo color. It is mostly purple and very tonal, has shades of purple, some that are very, very dark, others that are lighter. Some of the skeins even have a super, super kind of washed out section. Actually, most of them do. You can kind of see how light those are and kind of bluish some of it is. So this is definitely will be a project that I will change skeins as I go. I'll do a couple rounds in a skein of each color and carry up the yarn on the inside of the sweater. So I'm excited. I don't know when I'm going to start, but I will probably maybe at least wind a few skeins this weekend and go from there. So I'm pretty excited. Obviously, it being May, I'm not super psyched about a sweater, but given that sort of my goal is to have one to wear to Rhinebeck in the fall. And I don't know if this will be the sweater I wear. If I enjoy making this, I'll probably make another one. I think I'll make a cardigan next. So I just want to kind of get this one under my belt and then hopefully do another one after that. So anyway, so that was something else that I got over this past week. Then in terms of other little things, so Casual Fashion Queen I will put her info below. She dyes yarn, and I think I went on her site looking at her yarn, but then came across some progress keepers. So I think I had mentioned to you guys last time that I want to get more of these to sort of track my progress. What I actually used one for this week was as I was making a sock, rather than counting the rounds that I had done. I was just kind of marking every 10 rounds. So that was helpful. So this is a set of 2, and it is a heart and then a little arrow. And there's the heart and a little arrow. And they both just have the typical like lobster claw. And so anyway, so I got these, thought they were super cute to kind of start my Progress Keeper collection. Then I got 3 bags. So when my knitting friends were over last Wednesday night, I had definitely enabled Caitlin, who is Kate G Designs on Instagram, and she bought a bunch of bags by Awesome Granny, because I had talked about them a few weeks ago, and she actually bought the bigger, like sweater-sized bags, which is awesome. I still need to get my hands on a bigger bag. I'm tending to buy kind of the smaller ones. Definitely need to get a bigger one. But anyway, so we were talking about what bags I had coming in the mail, and I'm like, oh, I think I just have 1. Oh no, I had 3 coming. So the first one I got is, if any of you watch the Grocery Girls podcast, they also have a feature little show on Craftsy's YouTube channel too, if you want to check them out. But anyway, so Jody is the maker behind Mrs. Brown's bags. So you can see her tag right there, Mrs. Brown's bags. So she gets this fabric made from actual knit or crocheted swatches from various yarn that she's just kind of drawn to. I actually don't know the maker of this yarn. I don't know the name of this one. But again, it's purple. You can't really tell that it's purple. But anyway, so it's just kind of a normal size project bag. Has a really pretty ribbon handle. It's lined in sort of a neutral beige color. And it's great. It's fun. Like, I love that it's just sort of the knitted fabric. I like that kind of design. The home screen on my iPhone is just like a picture of knitted fabric. I just like the look of it. So that was one bag. Then from Molly Klein Designs, she has a lot of really fun bags as well, and check her out. She released a bunch of Disney fabric bags, so I had to get my hands on those. So this one is Toy Story themed. There's Woody and Rex and Buzz and Jessie and a tiny bit of the horse. What's the horse's name? I should know. Oh, hey, look. And then you can see a little bit of Ham. Oh, Bullseye. Now I can see a little bit of the horse. Anyway, we super love Disney in my family. I've been with my sister's family a bunch of times, and my cousin's family, and my mother-in-law's come with us a bunch. We even, on a separate YouTube channel, I do like music videos when we return from our Disney trips. I'll put a link in the show notes, even though it'll be super embarrassing, but I'll let you see how crazy my family is. We come up with songs ahead of time, and throughout our entire Disney trip, we'll sort of mouth the words to the songs at kind of random points and do crazy dances and totally embarrass ourselves. But what else are you supposed to do in Disney World? And then when I come home, I like clip all of our different videos together to sort of make this big music video. I guess it's the other sort of creative side of me, is that kind of video making thing. Anyway, so we love Disney, and one of the years too we stayed at, I think it was All-Star Movies, and they had a little area that was all Toy Story. So I have a video clip of my husband like hugging this big huge Rex statue. Anyway, so this is super cute. So this again is Molly Klein Designs. I don't know if you can can't see, but it's Molly Klein Designs. And the bag too, the inside is like a fun green polka dot print. Then finally, the one other thing that I got, this is from Sue Schreiber, and her company name and Etsy is Knit Two Together. So this is a drawstring, mostly a sock sack bag. I love the drawstring. The string itself is almost like a suede kind of stretchy string. So I really, really like that. And it's tight. Drawstrings are tight. It's not like it's gonna come loose on you. Like you have to force it back open, which is nice. And then inside, there's a notions pouch, which actually separates the bag in half. So that way you can have, as a stitch marker falls out, you can have a skein of yarn in each side. And then also she has 2 of these, which is a little fabric snap. So that way, I would guess if you were knitting 2 at a time socks, which I don't, you could have the string from each ball of yarn for each sock, I guess, come through those so that they don't get tangled. But since I've been working on 2 different socks at the same time, I just put each of the socks in here to just kind of keep them separate and not rolling around in the same bag. And then the notions pouch is nice because then I have needle stoppers and stitch markers inside of there, all of which I need. So, and I just love it. I love that the fabric too is like the, I don't know what you call those flowers, but the ones that you can like blow all of the little fuzzy things off of. Yeah, and I just really like the color and the style, and this has definitely been the bag that's been going into my laptop bag and coming with me to work every day. I think that's it for today. So when I record next, I will hopefully, it'll be close. It depends on when I record. So the Joji Locatelli's Mystery Knit Along, which is called Starting Point, that the first clue gets released on May 12th. And this is actually May 5th that I'm recording this right now. So I guess depending upon when I record next time, I may have started it or not. But I will have my yarn wound anyway, so I can show you what the yarn looks like all caked up. So in my Ravelry group, I'm going to open up a thread specifically for the Joji Locatelli Starting Point Knit Along. I'm just going to post pictures as I'm working on it, just to kind of show everyone what mine's starting to look like. And if any of you happen to be working on it too and want to post in there, that would be great. I'm not planning this as any sort of official knit along for members of this group, but maybe if a lot of people are working on it and posting, maybe I'll do some giveaways here and there throughout the whole process. But yeah, so I'm really excited about that. And then I'm hopefully next time too, we'll have started winding some yarn for my worsted boxy. And then the Foxy Tails test knit that I showed you, I think needs to be done within a week, and I really do want to get it done before the Mystery Knit Along starts. So hopefully I'll have that one done and blocked by the next time you see me. Don't have a lot of stuff coming in the mail, a few things, but not too much this time. I've been kind of trying to focus on one thing at a time, which, as you know, is always hard. But anyway, thank you all for joining me again. Again, I am Kim Bridgeo. So happy to have you here. You can find me on Ravelry at kbridgeo. Instagram, I try to post when I can, Not Your Average Knits, and join that Not Your Average Knits Ravelry group, and fill in the giveaway thread, and we will see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Keep on knitting.